This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan claimed today that Yerevan is working daily to secure the release of Armenian captives held in Baku, telling reporters after a cabinet meeting that there will be no statement on the matter before concrete results are achieved. "We put maximum effort every day," Pashinyan said. Earlier on Tuesday, Armenia's Foreign Minister Ararat Mirzoyan said at a press conference that he hopes there will be good news soon regarding the release of the captives held in Azerbaijan. There are currently 23 Armenian prisoners held in Baku. Among them are numerous high-ranking officials of the now-defunct Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, including 3 former presidents, along with prisoners of war from 2020 and several civilian captives. Their only lifeline to the outside world, the International Committee of the Red Cross, was cut in June since Baku expelled the organization earlier in March. Contact is now limited to rare phone calls with families, which have revealed that many of the captives suffer from health problems, and some have even attempted suicide. Various commentators have accused the Armenian government of being reluctant to take a more active stance on securing their release, or at least to establish a communication and assistance channel involving a neutral state. Siranush Sahakyan, a lawyer representing the captives before the European Court of Human Rights, said last month that she had formally asked Armenia's foreign ministry to consider delegating consular protection rights for the prisoners to Switzerland as a third country, but received no response. She suggested that this may be because Yerevan does not want to appear too assertive toward Baku at a time when normalization efforts are making progress. Armenian truck drivers transporting goods to and from Russia held a protest today outside the government building in Yerevan, demanding that the authorities negotiate with Moscow to lift new restrictions that have led to mass deportations of Armenian nationals from Russia. Each day, 10 to 15 drivers are deported through Russia's border with Georgia, protesters told reporters, adding that deportation orders are typically followed by entry bans for up to 10 years. Under rules that came into force on January 1st, foreign citizens who do not declare work as their purpose of visit on migration cards may remain in Russia for no longer than 90 days in a calendar year, effectively halving the previous allowance of 90 days every 6 months. Since last month, Russian police have intensified roadside inspections and begun issuing deportation orders without court review. The rule affects both passenger and freight drivers, many of whom enter Russia repeatedly throughout the year to deliver goods. Truckers say each round trip between Armenia and Russia takes around 20 to 25 days, meaning the 90-day annual limit would allow for only 2 or 3 shipments per year, and those travels often involve lengthy border delays, meaning that the change is a major blow to Armenia's freight industry. Economy Minister Gevorg Papayan met with the protesters, assuring them that the issue is being addressed at the highest level within the Eurasian Economic Union. "I know that 90 days simply does not work in your case," Papayan said, and added that he hoped a compromise will be reached with officials in Moscow. Russia remains Armenia's largest export market, particularly for agricultural goods, transported overland through Georgia. Last month, Moscow halted more than 100 Armenian trucks carrying fresh produce, paralyzing operations at Spyker, Armenia's leading food exporter, and threatening the country's vital agricultural sector. In recent years, Russia has periodically restricted Armenian imports, citing sanitary reasons. Russia's tightening of migration and labor rules is part of a broader crackdown following the March 2024 mass shooting at a Moscow concert hall that killed 149 people. The attack, claimed by and attributed to the Islamic State, prompted Russian authorities to introduce stricter entry procedures for citizens from visa-free countries, including mandatory electronic migration cards and employment limits in major cities. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 25. That's because Armenia is among 25 countries with a global hunger index score below 5 in the 2025 edition of the report. These countries share the collective ranks of 1 to 25 out of 123 nations with sufficient data, reflecting minimal differences in their hunger levels. With a score under 5, Armenia is categorized as having a low level of hunger, which is a remarkable improvement from the start of the century, when it scored 20.3, considered a serious level of hunger. The progress reflects sharp declines in undernourishment and in the proportion of children under 5 suffering from low weight for their height. The index mainly assesses developing nations, meaning developed countries such as the United States, Canada, and most European countries are not included in the ranking. And as always, please follow CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.